Okay, hello, welcome to AAD70 Intro to Digital Design. You guys are from one of two listings of this class. I am teaching simultaneously two AAD70s, both of them online. And so I'm putting you guys all together in the same Zoom session so that they feel fuller and more robust and we have more people to talk with. The classes are identical. You're going to have the same schedule, learning the same things, same teacher, same weekly live session, everything the same. So welcome, and I'm so glad that so many of you have already participated in the discussion boards, and I've got to get to know a little bit about some of you already, which is fantastic. And I'm excited to see so many people here this morning or this afternoon. We are going to go through a list. I have a list. I'm big on lists, and I'm going to go through everything that I want to talk to you about today to share with you. And then I'll end it with some question and answers. You can feel free to put questions into the chat at any time so that you don't forget them. They may be answered as I continue to talk, but feel free to put them in there. And other than that, I am going to just get started. We are going to, my name is Nikki DeGregorio. As you know, I go by Nikki. You're welcome to call me Nikki. Professor DeGregorio is a mouthful, and so don't feel obligated to use that moniker. I'm happy to see it in emails and messages. You guys are great, but you are welcome to call me Nikki. I am a graphic designer and it's professor of graphic design. I have been working professionally as a graphic designer since 1991. So just over 30 years. I have my own design business. Just recently had its, next year is going to be its 20-year anniversary. And for a long time, that was my sole source of income. And I got into teaching about 3 years ago. I believe this is the start of my third year teaching at Sierra College, and I really enjoy it. It's such a nice change of pace, and it's so fun to interact with the students and to be able to talk about the things that are going on in design in real time and in what's going on now. And it really helps me to stay update on all of the software and all of the things, current trends and whatnot. And also I just love interacting with you guys. I work and have for years from home. And so, as you know, that can be kind of isolating. And I've got this wall of monitors that I'm staring at all day long. And so teaching has been really rewarding and really fun. So I teach this was the first class I started teaching, Intro to Digital Design, but I've also taught the Advanced Illustrator class, which is AAD 62, and Graphic Design 1, which is AAD 60, Principles and Processes of Graphic Design. On ground, I started on ground, and then obviously COVID hit and I went online, and I stayed online. I'm one of the few teachers that strictly teaches online at Sierra, but it's fun and I love it. I love the tech of it. I love all of the ways that you can communicate with people around the world without leaving your home. It's really liberating to me. I know a lot of people find it restrictive, but I love it. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoy this class and that you learn a lot about design and about what we do, but also about communicating on this level. And we're not face-to-face. We're not able to have, we're face-to-face, but we're not. This digital kind of classroom is really cool, and we're going to get to look at stuff that we wouldn't get to if we were in the classroom. So I hope you can appreciate that, and I hope you really enjoy this class. Sometimes you will see me looking this way and that way, and it's because I'm looking at my other monitors where I have the chat and the participants, and then I've got you guys right in front of me. This class, AAD70, there's been a lot of questions about what we're going to learn, and I know that in the catalog it's a little bit vague. It's Intro to Digital Design, so obviously we're going to be doing things digitally and with a computer, but what exactly does that mean? For this class, we are going to be using, you're going to need either a desktop or a laptop computer, and we're going to be exploring the main software used by graphic designers, which is Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe InDesign. These are kind of the OG softwares of graphic design and of Adobe. Photoshop was their first back in the late 80s, and we're going to spend a little bit of time in each one, a few weeks in each one, just enough to show you the ropes, get you used to the interface, get you used to the tools, learn the differences between the softwares and the type of artwork that can be created with them, and then create a project in each one. You'll learn the material by reading in Canvas some of the written lectures, watching some videos, tutorials in Canvas, these live sessions, which will be recorded every week, and you can watch them later, you can refer back to them, and you will be doing tutorials, which will teach you the skills that you'll need to then create the project. So everything is just kind of baby steps and a little bit of a time, and small bites and small chunks until you're able to create something that you'll probably surprise yourself that you're able to do. And it's just a lot of fun. This class, and it's partially the online nature of it, you kind of get what you put into it. There's the opportunity to create artwork that's really basic, that meets the criteria, that checks all of the boxes, and there's an opportunity to create artwork that goes beyond that while meeting all of the criteria and just kind of playing with the software and get into it. And usually every semester I have students that fall in love with either Illustrator or Photoshop and just can't stop playing with it, because that's what happens. I learned the software by doing. I forgot to mention that in my introduction, but I have been in on a Mac and in the Adobe software since it came out in the 80s. I worked, on the school newspaper in junior high, and it was a tiny little box Mac, and we started, laying stuff out and printing it up and pasting it onto grid paper. So I've been in the industry for since it became digital design, and I think it's amazing what you can do with a computer. You don't need to know how to draw. There is something to be said for sketching, and we'll talk about that, because it's a hand-eye coordination thing that when you start sketching, it prepares your brain for what you're going to do on the computer, but you don't need to know how to draw. That's what the computer is for, and that's what makes digital design and graphic design so amazing. It's all about, for me, taking information, taking graphics, both visual and written information, and organizing it in a way that looks amazing, that's eye-catching, that's capturing of the viewer's attention. And so you're going to learn some of the tools to do that this semester. My expectations of you guys in turn is to keep up with the work. It's, like I said, it's broken up into chunks that are manageable, but also chunks that are very easy to get behind. If you start missing assignments, it's going to be hard to catch up, and it's going to be hard to figure out what you're being asked to do. So Canvas is a really big part of this class, obviously, and it's really important to know your way around and to know what you're looking at. So I'm going to share my screen now and show you Canvas, and we're going to just do a really kind of just basic tour. You guys have all, you're in an online class. I've seen, I can go in and check. I can see that you've all already been in Canvas and had a look around. I just want to make sure it's crystal clear. So a couple of things. The first thing is that your work is broken up by weeks. So right now we're in week 1. On Monday, I will publish week 2. And as we go on, pretty soon you will have 16 weeks of content. It is still broken up into modules so that everything is organized. You can just, the course homepage and the welcome letter are not going to be there after week 1. So I just want to start with the overview because that's how the normal weeks are going to start. Every week we'll have an overview. It's going to look the same. It'll be a different color. It'll say week 2, week 3, week 4, and have the date so that you know where you are and you don't accidentally end up in the wrong module. And then the pages are, you can jump to them here, or you can just click next at the bottom. And I have set up the modules so that you follow everything in chronological order. You shouldn't jump around at all. You should read take the information as it's presented to you. And at the very end will be the assignments, the quizzes, anything that's due. It's really important to not skip any pages. I haven't put any extraneous information into the class because the class is already so big and there's already like so much things. The fact that we're learning Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, we're going to touch on the Creative Cloud app and Acrobat as well, and learning the design elements and principles and some just kind of process of design. It's a lot of stuff. So everything that I put in here is important. Try to get through it. Try to go in order. And then as you go, it'll just mark you as done. And that's what I want to see. As you can see, let me just show you my view and you guys will get to see all the weeks. So it's going to be fun. I have, we'll do everything in stages. We're going to start off kind of with the basics and learning a little bit about graphic design itself, the elements and principles of design before we get into the software, which takes me directly into what I want to talk about next, which is a little bit more about the hardware and software. Because we don't start working in the software itself until about week 5, that gives you some time to make sure that you're set with the software. There's several times I mentioned the importance of I give you the links to where to subscribe to the Adobe software. It's really straightforward. You've got plenty of time to figure that out, to figure out the computer that you're going to work with, to figure out whether you want to use a mouse or a drawing tablet, which I also can show you really quick. Let me do this just in case. Can you guys all see my Amazon page right now? Yeah. Okay, cool. So when I say drawing tablet, this is what I mean as opposed to an iPad. You guys cannot. Okay, let me try this again. How about now? Yes. All right, sweet.
Yes.
So if you don't want to use a mouse, this is an option. Were we on ground at Sierra College, we have these in the computer lab, and some people prefer them when working in Photoshop and when working in Illustrator. It works like a pen, and then the whole surface is like a trackpad, but it's a different skill. So this is something that is optional. It's not something that I have ever embraced. I have one. I think my son has it now because I just could never really. I learned on a mouse and I'm comfortable with a mouse, and I could not get used to using one of these things, but this is something that's optional to you. What you don't want to do is not just use your trackpad on your laptop. You're gonna want a mouse, or you're gonna want one of those drawing tablets. So you've got, the next month or so to make sure that you have the equipment you need. But really simple: computer, the software. Adobe Creative Cloud, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, is the subscription that you can get through College Buys. And they give it to you really just dirt cheap for the semester. So I encourage you guys to go that route if you don't already have access to the software, and then only download what you need. The temptation is, because it opens up the world of the Creative Suite, is to download and look at as many things as possible, but you're going to distract yourself from the task at hand. So I recommend just downloading Photoshop first, and let us start there, because you'll do a lot of setup in Photoshop that you can then carry into Illustrator when you download Illustrator. And we're going to create libraries that go across all of the softwares and do a lot of things that that are really fantastic tools for being a designer. Let's see here. Let me just look at my list. So when you download Adobe, make sure that you create your use your student ID to download it, because you'll get the best price. Anything with a .edu at the end, as far as an email address, is going to give you the best price on that subscription. You are going to create an Adobe ID, which you will do either through the application once you load it, or on the Adobe website. Don't forget it, and make sure that those sync up. Make sure whatever Adobe ID that you're using on adobe.com, on the website, on an app, on your iPad, if you want those things to be accessible, libraries that you create, work that you're working on, make sure you use the same Adobe ID. I've had students lose work because they created it on one computer under a different Adobe ID, and then it just has disappeared. So I use the same Adobe ID for all of my stuff, and it really helps to keep things synced up. So that's really important. I want to mention that takes us through hardware, software, our Adobe IDs. I want to show you guys one more thing. Okay, we're still looking at Amazon, right? So this is the Adobe website. Real simple, adobe.com, but boy, is there a lot of information here. In the upper right-hand corner is where you will create your account. Go ahead and do that. And then while you're at it, log into Behance and create an account there. This is something that we're going to be talking about off and on during the semester, and it's something I highly encourage you guys to utilize. Adobe bought Behance a few years back, and they do a lot of live webinars, how-tos, tutorials. You can start an online portfolio here. I have, I don't know where it is, but I have, and I don't remember if it's on this one or my other one, but you can create boards, and here they are. So I have boards of all the elements and principles. You guys can look for me on here and follow these boards. And every time I see something that reminds me of something that we're going to talk about in this class or one of my other classes, I add it to these boards. I take suggestions from students. Hey, I found this post. You should add it to your advertisements board. And that's an opportunity for extra credit. But this website is almost like, it's almost like Pinterest, but for designers and artists. And I highly encourage you guys to, when you create your Adobe account, sync it up and start a Behance account as well. This is something that we'll talk about a bunch and we'll utilize, and then that and YouTube for tutorials and videos. You'll see some YouTube videos embedded in the Canvas content as you go. I post the videos from our Canvas sessions to YouTube just to kind of hold them. And then there is so much information. I recommend following Adobe's channel, Adobe Photoshop's channel, the Creative Cloud channel. All of these are also, and I don't know if I can pull them up, on Instagram, and I follow all of their accounts there as well, because let's look at what. Tutorials for days, Adobe artists, and they will feature and remind you when there's a webinar or a video. And a lot of you guys have asked me about animation and some of the other stuff that we're not going to cover in this class. Following these accounts and just kind of seeing what they're doing is a huge part of kind of immersing yourself in the design world and seeing what's going on. Adobe puts on a virtual conference every year. They used to do one in person, but I'm pretty sure it's just virtual now. And they will live stream for a week, all day long, on a bunch of different channels on Behance, all of these different like types of design, an illustrator or a photographer or, you know, a digital photographer. And it's a lot of fun, and it can take up a lot of your time, but it's also what gets me excited about what's available to us in this online environment. And it's a tool that I want you guys to have, and it's a tool that I want you guys to get used to using. I am not a fan of social media. I'm a big fan of having an Instagram that you use for art and design, and follow the artists, follow the designers, follow the creators of the software that you like. Whether or not it's an Adobe software doesn't really matter. I mean, there's a lot of other great softwares out there that are not Adobe that can be used for art and design. I follow a ton of them, and then in your feed, it ends up more about creative inspiration than social interaction, but also reaching out and getting to know artists all over the world. I have interactions with artists kind of globally that I have either liked their artwork, or they've liked mine, or I've utilized, you know, purchased a photo from them to use in something that I'm working on, or hired them as an illustrator to work on a project that I'm working on. So it's something that is such an amazing tool in the world that we're in today. And it's one of the reasons why I see such value in having this class as an online class. Sure, being in person and in the classroom is great and has all kinds of value that you can't get online, but online there's so much that we can do that's more limited in the classroom and with the distractions of just being there in person. So that's that. I'm going to get into as just kind of like a description of the weekly expectations and just kind of assignments and homework and all of that, and then open it up to questions. This first session is usually a little bit shorter because I'm not showing you how to do anything or opening up Illustrator or, you know, talking about homework or giving feedback. So you guys can probably expect to be out of here in the next 15 minutes or so. But normally we would take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour for these sessions. I take a break and then I open up my office hour, which is just a drop-in Zoom for 30 minutes. So you're welcome to ask questions at the end of the live session or to drop into the office hours at 3:30. The assignments are due for the most part every Monday night by the end of the day. The exception to this is when things are due on Friday because they require peer input. For instance, those discussion posts. I like to see your discussion post done by Friday so that it gives your peers the weekend to respond to and get full credit participation for responding to those discussion posts. The same is going to be true of reviews. When we do peer reviews of projects, you're going to need to submit your work at various stages by Friday so that you have the weekend to review and give feedback to your peers. So that said, the only work that I don't accept late are the discussion posts and participation in the peer reviews. Everything else, turn it in on time for full credit, but talk to me if you need more time and we will work it out. I do accept late work. If you turn something in and you're not happy with the grade you get, we can talk about it and you can resubmit it. The important thing here is we can talk about it. Make sure that you reach out to me. Make sure you communicate to me. Make sure you do not wait till the last week of school to say, hey, remember that assignment we did in week 2? I want to redo it. The expectation is that we do everything in a timely manner, that we communicate, because that's what graphic design is all about. And working in applied art and design is about communicating with someone, whether it's your art director, your superior, your creative director, or your client. So part of the participation grade, because we're not taking roll, twice or three times a week in class, part of the participation is communicating with me via Canvas message or email, and making sure that you let me know where you're at. Let me know if you need more time. I'm going to treat it like a real world situation with graphic design deadlines and client relationships. So only you guys are the designers and I'm the client. So welcome to that. Welcome to my world. That said, regarding email and messaging, there is a Canvas app that I find very handy for keeping track of timelines, kind of looking to see what's due next, participating in the discussion posts, and messaging. If you download the app and if you use it on your computer, make sure you have notifications turned on, because if I respond to your discussion post, if I leave you feedback in an assignment submission, or if I send you a message directly, you're probably going to want to know it sooner than later. And if you don't have notifications turned on, Canvas will just let it slide and it'll let it sit there unread until you stumble upon it. So the Canvas app is great. I use it for keeping up on grading and just seeing what we're at and getting a little reminder. I like to read the discussion posts on there, and I have the notifications on, so I know if you guys have messaged me right away. I was going to say something else about the notifications and now I've forgotten. Your email address is a totally, completely separate thing from Canvas. So make sure you're also checking your email, your Sierra College email as well. There are things that will come from the school and things that will come from me through the school, through Sierra Connect and like surveys and things that I do throughout the semester that'll go directly to your student email inbox. So make sure you're checking that as well, because Canvas will not tell you if you have emails. There was something else I was going to say in there, but it's gone. Maybe one of your questions will jar my memory. Regarding questions, I know a lot. I got 2 questions from everybody so far on the discussion boards, and that was awesome. I want to encourage you guys to try to find the answer yourself first if it seems like something that you would know. I know there's a ton of content for this class, and there's a lot of reading to do with those written lectures. But try first before you reach out to me, just so that we don't get in the habit of not finding the answer yourself. This is something that is, no matter what level you're at, I'm guilty of it as well, asking, emailing admin and being like, I have a student who can't add, what do I do? And she's like, here is the answer, and it was right here all along, you could have read it yourself. So I get it, but let's just try to go through the pages in the order that they're presented every week, look for their information, and then if you still can't figure it out, let me know. And I am happy to help. I talked to you guys before about having my own business and also teaching. I am also on staff full-time at a nonprofit. My first kind of full-time design job since I don't even remember when, like the 90s sometime, and they allow me to work from home. But as a result, I'm always at my computer, and so I will usually get back to you guys, really quickly. I take Sunday, Monday off, so that's the exception. If I am not at my computer, it might take me a little bit longer to get back to you on my phone than it will during the week. But I'm always here and I'm always happy to help. I kind of have like a virtual open door policy, so email me, but do try to find the answer yourself first. As we work through the semester and through the work that we're doing, like I said, we're going to try to have this like client designer relationship in lieu of a student instructor, and you'll be establishing a design process as we do it. Somebody asked me about that, and I wanted to touch on it briefly because the projects that we do, not the tutorials, not the quicker stuff, but I want to pop out this really quick, sorry. The projects that we do, you will really get a chance to work with a design process and kind of start to finish a design project. So as we go, communication is a big part of that. It's like the very kind of laying the groundwork and the very basic part of it. So ask questions, try to find the answer yourself. Google is your friend, Canvas is your friend, and we are going to have a great time, I hope, this semester. I mentioned that I like lists. One of the things that I encourage my students to do at the beginning of every term, and I'll remind you kind of as you go, is to use Post-its. I made the mistake, not the mistake, this was a happy accident. I told my mom one time how much I love Post-its and got like 5 gazillion of them for Christmas, but I use them. And what I want to encourage you to do is, as you go through the week's module, start a to-do list, kind of like write down things you're like, okay, this is what's due this week, this is what's due when. There is something, as with sketching, there is something with not just reading it online, but actually writing it down. It's going to help you remember it. Make a to-do list. Jot down questions that you might have. Anytime you have questions about an assignment, email them to me, because I will likely cover them in the Wednesday live session, so that everybody that has that question, I mean, it's probably something that would be good to explain to everyone, and then there'll be a video of it. So email me your questions, but Post-its and lists, and write down a to-do list. Go through that kind of monster week of content and take notes of what you need to do by the end of the week, and what's important to learn that week. So I've worked really hard to organize the information so that it makes the most sense, and so that it's giving it to you a chunk at a time and kind of building on what you learned the week before. But a lot of this is brand new to a lot of you. So that's what's to be expected in an introductory class. And Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, those are monster softwares. Those are professional design softwares that can do amazing things. So don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And don't be afraid of, the first attempt at anything you do looks, doesn't look good, and who cares? It doesn't matter. The point is you're learning your way around the software, you're learning what the software can do, and you're showing up. So that's all I have for you guys today. I will take questions until the very end. You're welcome to just unmute yourself. If you have no questions, you're free to go, and I will see you online either next week or in email or messages. But welcome, I'm really excited, and I'm happy to see your faces.